I agree that women can be bad drivers. How about due to instead of because of? Due to my experience in a recent car wreck. And we'll just get rid of her comparison. But in any case, I probably would have circled this and written something like you lost your grammar on the back end. Because of my experience from a car wreck confirms it is not a good sentence. All right. On the other hand, I agree that statistics show. She can't just agree statistics show. With me there? I agree that statistics show that women are safer drivers than men. Okay? It is said that in 2009, more than died compared with just under 4 men. Okay? It is said that, I see where she's going here, but it's not quite as strong. What if instead she had slightly modified this construction for something like statistics show that, or many people quote the statistics that in 2009, but it is said that is just a little bit too much like it is said that if the groundhog sees a shadow, we get more winter. She can use the exact same sort of construction, but say many people quote the statistics that in 2009. It's the exact same construction. More than boys died compared with just under, that's fine. My feelings on this issue are mixed. I'd probably go on a period here instead of a comma. My feelings on this issue are mixed, period. I do support that women are bad drivers. Probably word choice here to agree. I do agree that women are bad drivers. It's more like you support school choice, not you support that women are bad drivers. So I do agree that women are bad drivers, but I find that statistics make it clear, or I find the statistics show that women are the safer drivers. We would just plural there because women are more than one, or plural. Of course, many will probably disagree on the grounds that women drivers are better. That's a perfect naysayer. Calling out and anticipating what people will disagree with. Ultimately, what is at stake here is that it shouldn't matter if women are good or bad drivers, just pay attention to the damn road. This does not work very well as a what is at stake here or why it matters, because you're sort of proscribing what people should do different, not describing what is at stake here. So you could have said something like, ultimately what is at stake here is all of our safety, pay attention to your driving, or however you want to put it. But you're saying, what is at stake here is that it shouldn't matter. And that's often that's a pretty flip-de-doodle sentence. What is at stake here is that it doesn't matter. At a minimum, it's going to confuse me. Okay? Are we comfortable that Mel understands how to employ the frames, even if this was a little clumsier than we had hoped? Yes. I concur. Okay. And did you have any questions, ma'am?
No, I don't. I agree with what you say and what others have said was pretty weak.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I should also say, by way of complimenting, she definitely knew what she wanted to do in each sentence. Like there's no question what was supposed to happen. Just needed to clean it up her execution a little. Okay, who is this? Hey, Luis. I agree with female drivers are more dangerous than men drivers. We're going to change 2 words in this sentence. I agree that female drivers. Okay. He could have kept his with if he wanted to say, I agree with Jay Leno, female drivers are. Okay, but if he's just agreeing with the sentiment or the claim, I agree that female drivers are. And then here it's just one little letter actually, T-H-A-N. So we have then, which is like time or sequence, that's a cue. And we have than for usually comparison. Okay, so we would say first preheat the oven, then put in the chicken, then THEN, and chicken is healthier than goose. Comparison, THAN. You guys with me there? Okay, so we changed that. I agree that female drivers are more dangerous than men drivers. So here we have kind of like a faulty contrast where I went from female to men. Let's either go women and men or female and male. But we broke out of his structure there. My experiences have been involved with female drivers. I have experiences with women drivers. I have experiences with. 4 of my 5 car accidents have been caused with a D, okay, by, and let's again make it plural, by female drivers. 4 of my 5 car accidents have been caused by female drivers, okay? Then he transitioned. Naysayers can challenge and say that not only cause someone is a female because they are bad drivers, okay? Let's replace your naysayers with defenders of women drivers, or maybe women drivers themselves. And it sounds like what you wanted to say was that not all women are bad drivers. Is that right? But we would need to phrase this much more gracefully. So how about, for now, just others. Others can challenge this, okay, or challenge me, or challenge my experience, but we need to have them challenging something. Others can challenge this and say that just because you're a woman doesn't mean you're a bad driver. Or something a little more graceful in that regard. Okay, what you say versus others. My view, however, we need an extra comma there. My view, comma, however, comma, contrary to what others argue, comma, perfect, is that my experiences with female drivers have been at fault. My experience has been that the female drivers were the ones at fault. Good, okay, and that lastly, while it matters, ultimately what is at stake here is about R. What is at stake here? No, yes, you're right. What is at stake here is the lives with no apostrophe, the lives of all mankind. Okay, it's fine. Again, all the sentences have meaning, and again, his framing is relatively tight. We'll just continue to work on the writing. Okay. Who's this? Okay. Women are the safest drivers I know.
Aww.
Sell out.
I know, right?
Cupcakes.
Wow.
Teddy bears. Lovely.
Wow. Boy.
I have been in many vehicles in my life, and it is always when a woman is driving that I feel the most safe.
Point.
Also, I would think about a comma there. I've been in many vehicles in my life, slight pause, and it is always when a woman with an A, when a woman singular is driving, that I feel the most safe. Good. It is said, so that you're getting to what others say. Good. It is said that women, good, yeah, have more patience than men. This is clear when driving because they always seem to be moving at exactly the speed limit. You need to ride with my girlfriend once.
Well, putting makeup on.
Others will say that, quote, the speed limit is just a suggestion. No, the speed limit is handcuffs. But you're doing fine. It's just a suggestion. Oh, not for women, it's a commandment. I like what you did there, but I want to punctuate it ever so slightly. Others will say that the speed limit is just a suggestion. I would go period there. So you can capital N, not for women, and I would go colon there. It's a commandment. Okay, but I really like that phrasing. People seem to think women are bad drivers because they drive slow or have a difficult time merging, comma. But in reality, comma, they're just being safe on the road. Big thumbs up. Ultimately, what is at stake is our lives, which are safe in the knowledge that women drivers are on the road. I just want to say, change your knowing to in the knowledge that. Okay, nice. Sell out. All right. Here we have Angel. Okay. In discussions, Or when discussing, I don't like in discussion of women drivers, one controversial topic has been if they are. How about when discussing women drivers, we debate, or it is often debated, or a source of controversy is the question of if they are good or bad drivers. Right? So I find the intro a little weak. Okay, and I would also remind you, let's not make our first sentence clumsy, because many readers just give up, or they don't know what it's about. All right, some may say women are bad drivers. Good. I've also heard it said, or heard that Asians are bad drivers. Because right now it sounds like you're hearing Asians are bad drivers, which I guess the crushing of steel or fiberglass would be. Okay, but you have to hear that Asians are bad drivers. My wife is both Asian and a driver.
Oh, really?
Quote, what doesn't kill us, doesn't kill us. Okay? You need an E in both those doesn'ts, but this wasn't a spelling quiz, not a problem. What doesn't kill us, she says. This matters to me, why it's important, because we have kids and she is our main driver. Good. On the one hand, comma, almost always on the one hand is going to have a comma. On the one hand, comma, women drivers have a better ability to multitask. Okay? However, is it really necessary to put on makeup? No comma there. While merging on the highway, question mark. Remember, if you ask questions, employ question marks. On the other hand, comma, they possess patience, more patience. They possess more patience than. If it's going to be a than, make a contrast. More patience than any man on earth. Let's just put your period there. More patience than any man on earth. Period. In conclusion, she is right. At the end of the day, don't conclude twice. It's either in conclusion or at the end of the day. Pick a winner and go with it. She is right. The kids and I are alive. The reality is that half of the drivers driving, again, redundant, pick one. Half of the drivers or half of the people driving are probably, or why not just are women? I don't think you need your probably. And the world has not fallen into chaos. I'm comfortable with this. You guys good with those little fixes? Okay. Little writing over here. Not in cursive. Can you write cursive on a vertical surface?
Yes, I can.
It's a rare, unique gift.
I can do it next time for you.
Can you do it left-handed?
Oh, no, I
No,
can't.
I'm teasing you. No, if you can write cursive on the board, you're like literally 1 in 1,000.
Okay.
at this
What
point.
has that?
Okay. You would think that women, plural,
That's very
are
interesting.
bad drivers, no need for the apostrophe. You would think that. Why would you think that? I would want some causes at the front. Or just go, many think that. But don't
Okay.
tell me what I think unless you tell me why.
Okay.
And some may complain that they are. Period. Capital H. However, comma, I disagree and would repudiate, okay, that claim. I have always, with no apostrophe, believed women with an E are great drivers, no apostrophe. Now, I don't make this claim without merit. I know full well many say women with an E, drivers with no apostrophe, are two with 2 O's. Okay, this would be the 2 Too distracted with cell phones, no apostrophe, comma, makeup, comma, babies, comma, the drinking of their pumpkin spice latte, comma, and exclamation point?
That was gonna be like, like a driving point, like end?
No,
No?
don't
Okay.
get it.
All
Why
right.
not just move your exclamation point after latte? Okay. Say we are right about women being bad drivers. Colon. Can't men be considered the same? Question mark. Good. Personally, you just drop the S, I think.
Oops.
No, I'm just checking.
Yeah.
That's personally?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
personal.
Personally, comma, because if you think about it, you would make that little pause when you spoke. Personally, comma, my mother taught me how to drive a stick shift at an early age. I would change your phrasing. My mother taught me when I was young, or at an early age, how to drive a stick shift. And in fact, she was also the biggest supporter of my IndyCar racing, okay? My overall point is not to disprove anyone's appropriate apostrophe, and you got one, claim that some women are indeed bad drivers. There is a larger majority of good women drivers, there, period, and no, don't end weak, end strong. There's a larger majority of good women drivers, period. Okay. I think we would have ended up reordering this overall. I would start when you were younger and your mom taught you to drive a stick, and then her supporting your driving, and then make a claim that in many ways she's reflective of real women drivers, that kind of thing. So I would switcheroo the orders a little. Okay, good. Next time, write cursive on the board.
Yes, sir.
See that, that'd be great. Who's up?
Selena. Joel.
All right, so Serena wrote, although I disagree with much that men say, just subject-verb agreement there. That's a great way to start a sentence. Although I disagree with much that men say, who doesn't have the reader's attention at that point, right?
Disrespectful.
I fully endorse
Whatever.
the final conclusion. Let's go claim here. I fully endorse the claim their claim that women are the worst drivers. So then it would sound, although I disagree with much that men say, I fully endorse their claim that women are the worst drivers. Okay, and that's, by the way, a perfect agreeing and disagreeing at the same time. Most people seem to believe it was just men before. Now suddenly you want to include both men and women? You can, I'm just pointing out you did. Okay, it had been men claim, now it's people claim. Most people seem to believe that women are bad drivers. But my own view, however, is that women can get easily distracted while driving, but are not, and we need one word, but they're not necessarily bad drivers. So you're conceding women get easily distracted, but then they're not necessarily bad drivers. Or you could have said, but that doesn't make them bad drivers. Right? But women would certainly take issue with the argument that men are the best drivers. Nice transition. Although women drivers may seem of concern to only a small group of men, how about although women's driving may seem to be of concern to only a small group of men, it should, in fact, concern anyone who cares about being safe on the road. So we want to change up our punctuation a bit there at the end. Good? Does this help for me to edit 16 papers? Okay, all right.
No, I did mine completely wrong though.
No, only mostly wrong,
Well,
only
right.
mostly. So he started with women drivers and then he just improvised some random topics. We'll get him next time.
One different.
Maybe we'll have Melanie and start watching him a little closer. Okay. I'm with an apostrophe of two minds about Maria's with an apostrophe claim that women drive better than men and therefore should have lower deductibles. Let's go Maria's claims, plural, because she's really making two claims.
Okay.
One, that they drive better, and two, that they should have lower deductibles.
Gotcha.
Okay. On the one hand, I agree that women should have lower deductibles, no comma, due to the fact that they are not risk takers. Let's go, risk takers when driving.
Yeah.
We can remove your when it comes to
Just drive.
and just when driving. On the other hand, I'm not sure if that qualifies, how about if that makes them better drivers.
Gotcha.
Okay, fine. Biologists, of course, may want to question whether the theory of evolution ever happened, because there is no way to prove people came from fish, which isn't necessarily what they're claiming, but I see what you're doing. Okay. These conclusions, which Shannon Sharp discusses on First Take, capital F, capital T,
Okay.
and italics.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Okay.
These conclusions, which Shannon Sharp discusses on First Take, did weight to the added.
Added. Yeah, it's supposed to be added.
Okay,
So,
you're right. Added weight to the argument that Antonio Brown didn't want to play football this year, thumbs up. Ultimately, what is at stake here is, no comma, a possible shortage of food. Shortages are almost always of.
Gotcha.
Shortage of patients, shortage of pencils, shortage of food,
Okay.
due to resourceful land, productive land being used to build buildings we would never say anything as weak as and things of that nature.
Okay.
Okay, to build buildings, period. This limits the amount of land available for farmers to grow produce.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Good. There is perfectly lovely frames.
Just the wrong subject.
Just the wrong subject. Luckily, none of your colleagues will remind you of that.
Right?
All right,
She's
all
gonna
right, we
post
finally
it.
get some curds. Who wrote about my curds? What size of an issue?
Mm-hmm.
This was an opportunity, if you wanted to take it, to use the $10 word, not for the $10 word's sake, but there are times when the big or fancy word is actually more precise. Okay, that it does a better job than the street word. And so my feelings on the issue are mixed. Is true, this sentence accomplishes its job, but the word ambivalence actually does this even better. It's the right word, okay? I support the idea of stopping our involvement in the Middle East. Good. However, the Kurds have been one of our best allies in Syria. You spelled that wrong, but I don't care, okay? Until last week's apostrophe S, give it the possessive, until last week's events, they were instrumental in our defeat of ISIS. That's a very nice sentence. Of course, some politicians will argue the only reason the Kurds are helping us is because they are fighting for their own territory. That's an excellent use of the frame. While it is true that they have a lot to gain by supporting our country in this war, comma, I still insist, very nice, that without their support, we would still be fighting ISIS, I think a comma there, and most likely suffering more casualties in the process. That's wrong, but it looks perfect. Okay, this is actually pretty graceful. In fact, what are we, about halfway through the class? I think second only to Asian women drivers, that this is the most graceful sentence structure we've had yet so far. This works pretty nice. And it won't get you to worse.
Talking about me?
This is
I'm a
Ian,
good driver.
right? Okay. Why should insurance companies, he just dropped the N, why should insurance companies increase their rates for women drivers? Okay. I agree that there are more close calls for women drivers than men. Okay. See, he's creating an operational definition there, saying, let's talk about what I want to talk about. I'm going to introduce a concept and show it to you. Good use of operational definition. I agree that there are more close calls for women drivers than for men. Okay. Studies show that 1 out of 5 women go at least 15 miles an hour over the speed limit, comma, and almost double that say they apply makeup or use their phone while driving. Okay. The say would become an if, but we also have to fix this in front of this. Studies show that 1 out of 5 go at least 15 miles an hour over the speed limit and go. We need to go there and go almost double that when they apply makeup. So let's put a when there, or use their phone while driving. To have, instead of a safer roadway, let's just go to have safer roads. To have safer roads, I advocate for insurance, is it rules? Rates to be increased to deter women from their tendency to speed and drive distracted. State Farm themselves. State Farm themselves say they only look at data showing accidents caused by or instead of?
No, studies over distracted driving. They look at accidents over the data showing distracted driving.
Okay, so they they emphasize data regarding accidents and de-emphasize or ignore. I'm with you now. But as my wife says, why does it matter? I'm not causing an accident. You need to close her quote as well. I say the mere fact of almost is
Equally.
as dangerous as one itself. Okay, good. You put her in quotes, go ahead and put yourself in quotes as well. It's almost like you two are talking, you quote her, you quote you. Okay. Ian definitely accomplishes our goals for the frames, and we have 5 little fixes to get this where we want it. Okay. I probably may have introduced me and the wife fighting about it or discussing it earlier. That you can say something like, my wife and I, comma, and insurance companies, comma, are both arguing about the difference between accidents and distracted driving. So if we're gonna end there, I could see teasing it a little, and that might was good. Okay. Who is this? Okay. Women drivers. Americans have always believed that women drivers are horrible. According to statistics in the United States, comma, this is true. I disagree. Because of my personal experience with my wife's driving, I kill the skills. I would just go driving. Although some may object to my, let's just go views, or to these views, and not bother with that. I would argue, based on experience, I make my argument, or I build my argument, based on experience rather than numbers. But who really cares? Who besides me has stake on this view? Question mark. At the very least, the researchers who believe women are bad drivers should care. It doesn't matter what you are, as long as you know that. Doesn't matter if you're male or female, as long as you know the rules of the road, or don't drive. That works. It just feels herky-jerky. It feels almost like you wrote it in a hurry for a quiz. Okay. But it's otherwise fine. Almost. Okay. All right, and this is Chris. Okay. You just slammed on the brakes and narrowly escaped death. Period. Is there a better punctuation mark you could have used for you just slammed on the brakes and narrowly?
Exclamation.
Okay. So I could see hanging that there.
But it happens so often, it's not really an explanation.
Okay, then let's go, you just slammed on the brakes for the 3rd time this morning? Okay, what happened, question mark? You had a run-in with a woman driver. Oh, this is great. 99% of all accidents are caused by women, based on Chris's data. Okay. Recent studies like these shed new light on the dangers of women behind the wheel, which previous studies had not addressed. Here, many feminists, plural, object that gender. They object claiming that gender has nothing to do. Okay, so they don't object to the gender, they object to those claims. That nothing has to do with driving skills. My view, however, contrary to what many feminists argue, is that the data speaks for itself. Okay, I would replace that whole sentence with just the data speaks for itself. Though I concede that it is not culturally acceptable to use gender as a stereotype, I still insist that women are responsible for the woes of the open road. Okay, I have 2 problems with this. I concede that it is not culturally acceptable to use gender as a stereotype. I'd like to clean that up more into a version of, today, you get in trouble for stereotyping based on gender. Okay, or stereotyping based on gender make some claim, but I think if you phrase it like that, it works better. And so your final descriptive word here is woes. Up there it was certain death. Down here it's merely woes. So what if woes became dangers? That way there's not this huge loss between how strong your descriptive words are up there and then merely woes down here. Good? Right. 3 more. Questions? I think, do you remember from the Green Book indicator words? That maybe we can have whole indicator sentences telling you what you're about to tell me. Because really Justin's saying, I'm about to tell you why Americans should care about the Kurds. So starting with a question like this is often just, it's inviting in the reader, but it's also telling them what you're going to tell them in that regard. According to Prime Minister Erdogan, the Kurds are a terrorist organization and a thorn in Turkey's side. I want him to think about the back of this sentence. A terrorist organization sounds like a pretty big deal. A thorn in someone's side is merely a woe, right? That there's this huge disconnect. How about a terrorist organization that threatened Turkey's eastern border, or threatens Turkey's sovereignty, or is a threat to his dictatorship? Any of these things, but don't just make him a thorn. Yet, anyone familiar with America's global war on terror, good job capitalizing that, agrees that the Kurds are our greatest Middle Eastern allies. I'm not sure anyone familiar with. How about those familiar with? And let's just add two more words to make it easier for you to sell me on this, are one of America's. Okay, because some might claim it's Israel, some might claim it's still the British. I don't know, but let's just say one of our greatest Middle Eastern allies. Many politicians are prepared to remove American support in the region, American support for the Kurds from the region. But my evidence reveals that this will allow Turkey to destroy. How about what this will allow? Remove my evidence, but this will allow Turkey to destroy. And instead of the Kurdish population, they've been Kurds here and Kurds here and Kurds here. How about just destroy the Kurds? Unless you wanted to go all of the Kurdish population, and in that case, call it what it is, call it genocide. That way we already have the definition of destroying the whole population. Okay. Otherwise, very strong. Comfortable with that? Okay. Bernie wrote the biggest, right? There was a special award for writing the biggest. Okay. But certainly Kim can see it. Yeah. Okay. Anyone familiar with driving should agree that women on the road are a hazard. I would go would here instead of should. Okay. Although this issue may seem of concern to only a small group of concerned drivers, in fact, it should concern anyone who cares about living another day. So I have three concerns. I run myself in a little circle here. What if we just, this whole thing, this issue should concern anyone who wants to live. Okay. Women driving, women's, make it possessive, women's driving is an issue that increases by the day. Noun, increases. How about the dangers from women drivers increased by the day? And this prepositional phrase, at alarming rates, let's move it to the front if it's going to happen at all. Okay. Those unfamiliar with this school of thought may be interested to know it basically boils down to keeping the roads safe. This whole front end. Those unfamiliar with this school of thought may be interested to know. Okay. 5 phrases there that I don't think accomplish anything. You've already said why it's important and that there are dangers. If you want to transition to these other ideas, how about something like the focus should be on keeping the roads safe. Right? On the one hand, female drivers argue that they are not a danger to others. Let's just remove the when driving, and that this situation, you haven't really defined a situation for me, is greatly exaggerated. How about the dangers are greatly exaggerated? On the other hand, they're wrong. You can't do that. You have to give better reasons. How about, and so in different ways the sentence could go, or like, on the other hand, they can't see themselves drive. On the other hand, they haven't looked at the statistics. On the other hand, they don't realize what's happening behind them, the accidents they've caused. But you can't just say, on the other hand, they're wrong. Many feminists would probably would probably claim that, first of all, I'm wrong for assuming they drive. Okay. Secondly, comma, they